events, lots of cities, a huge number of people online at meetups and on Slack. So check out if your local community already has a chapter. If not, please get in touch with us or with Brian, and we'd love to help you get that set up. Also, check out if your university or college already has a student club. And if not, we'd also love to help you get one set up there. Definitely join our Slack. You can find a link in the meetup agenda for joining that. And also, and I say this every time, but join our Discord. And I really need to update this slide. Learn.neurotech.edu.com is the online educational platform, and it is going to be going through a bit of an upgrade soon, but still some good info there. And also you can get our newsletter and check out NPX services job boards and also the ecosystem with labs and companies with that are interested in neurotechnology for internships and student positions. And with that, all right. So yeah, welcome to the week. And this is the normal time to also just ask if there's anybody joining us for the first time. If you don't mind introducing yourself, tell us what brings you here. Oh, and fellow Jitzer, if you don't mind putting your name in. I don't know who that is. Anyway, yeah. So maybe there's nobody new to this week. I certainly recognize a bunch of people. Great to see everybody here. And anybody want to start us off with some news?
I was reading this research about people being able to communicate with people during the sleep in lucid dreaming, and I found it interesting, but I don't know what you guys think on that.
So it's funny you mentioned that, because that was, I mean, there was some there was a couple other things, but I was totally gonna pick the dreaming one, and I said that. So back when we had in-person meetups, we had someone who would join us on a regular basis, and talk. It was super interested in talking about lucid dreaming. And so when I saw that article, I sent it to him immediately. It was just like, hey, you should check this out. Let me. So I know I can find it quickly, because all I need to do is check my messenger history with him. And give me 1 second. So it was a bit ago, right? I mean, it was. I sent it to him the 18th. So it was like, anyway, here's the, did somebody already drop a link?
Oh. Yes. Oh, I didn't know if you were done talking. I thought you were talking about your thing. Yeah, we share stuff through various open MECI media outlets, and I get to watch them roll in. And, this one's pretty cool. It was a pretty good read. It was from Brown University on motivation, and it says they used EEG to look at.
Yeah. So I'm gonna guess without
real right. They get a lot from the paper, and they really it's on the university website. It's real quality stuff, not a wishy-washy EEG article.
Yeah. I'm
if I meant from like traditional media.
Wishy-washy. Okay. I don't actually know any of these people. It looks good. So check out the link I dropped, though. I mean, like you said, like I haven't actually gone into this, two-way communication during dreaming to know whether I care enough.
Maybe it makes more sense than trying to do it from a computer because you don't know the format of the message.
It's got a lot of good. I mean, it's got a lot of good people.
They're like, we're just going to take the messages from over here and try to throw them over there and see what happens. But hey, they're both brains, so it's got to be compatible, right? It's not like they're doing a RoboCop here. Actually, RoboCop, I think, is quite inspiring.
Oh, definitely.
Maybe not every implementation in all the bits of the movie, but creating a hybrid human and stuff like that.
Actually interested in.
Very transhuman.
Yeah, it's transhuman. There you
go. What's transhuman?
RoboCop.
Well.
Oh, right. Did they say why they're trying to do this?
I think that one of the conclusions was that they're trying to change the direction of the dream while the person is still dreaming. Like, this is one of the long-term goals.
So try to use external control for lucid dreaming instead of
something
people trying to practice noticing if they're lucid dreaming and controlling it from within the dream.
At least somebody's trying, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, then again, you could just hire someone to yell at you like while you're
whisper in your ear and
I don't have to hire anyone to do that. I just log on Twitter and it just happens.
What does anybody remember? There's like a 1980s movie where they managed to like weaponize dreaming. Like, somebody could get into your dreams and take over.
Are you talking about?
Remember that?
Is it Brainstorm?
I've got to.
Christopher Walken. I love that movie.
Right? I mean, am I thinking the right one?
If it's something else I've seen, I'm gonna
not
be happy.
Lawnmower Man. I'm trying to think.
No. It's like he's pulled into. Did you say Brainstorm?
Brainstormer.
Because it sounds a lot like Inception, but it sounds like that definitely wasn't that.
I mean,
I remember Flatliners where they were trying to kill themselves temporarily.
Oh yeah.
The other side, there's like one or two versions.
They weren't trying to kill themselves. They wanted
for a little bit. For a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It seems like that would be pretty easy if they just wanted to kill themselves.
Yeah.
That's what we call science.
So we need to put this into the meeting notes. Is find 1980s movie, find bad 1980s movie where dreaming is somehow used as an espionage tool. I don't think it's Brainstorm. Anyway, that was the first thing that I thought of when I saw this lucid dreaming, particular lucid dreaming paradigm.
But what are your thoughts on that? Like, your honest thoughts?
I mean, again, like, I'm just not sure why. What's the point? Or
Dennis Quaid.
Ooh, that sounds better.
Oh yeah.
Wait. Yeah. Is Richard for the win?
No, I've got a brainstem implant that Googles it before I type it.
What like dream?
Dreamscape looks like it might be it.
This is it. That's wild. I need to watch this now. Gotta find it.
1984. It was a good vintage.
Because they have it on HBO with.
It's Dreamscape. It's Dreamscape.
Great.
So,
Okay.
Morgan, I'm not sure if you're asking rhetorically, but I think the interest in lucid dreaming is that it's sort of a potentially responsive state within like sleeping. So when someone's asleep, you know that they're not going to be able to respond. When they're awake, you know that they will. But like with lucid dreaming, they have some level of control over the dream and some level of consciousness or awareness. So I guess the idea was, again, I'm just speculating here. Sorry if it's incorrect, but to see like to what level that external stimulus could breach into that dream state. So, okay, within the dream, the lucid dream, people have this voluntary control. So if they're receiving stimuli from the outside that are strong enough to get through, but not strong enough to wake them up entirely, can they respond and process those? I think that was the reason.
But what if you like use some stimulation method to reduce the area of the brain that I don't know how you'd find out, but it controls aggression and it would like reduce the chance of having a nightmare. I don't know. That seems like it takes a lot of work.
In this case, the question was like, can they hear stuff? And if they hear it, are they gonna try to process it, or does it just get ignored like background noise?
Yeah, because I mean, there's all those people that always try listening to like audiobooks while they sleep and stuff like that, and
or making their fetus listen to Mozart.
I took my fiance to Sigur Rós actually with the baby, and I was like, I want him to hear this.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. So I mean, we had Omer Sharon on visited Paris to talk about the stuff that he's been doing, and one of the things he was doing was SSVP while you're sleeping. Right. So I kind of get that in the sense that like obviously while you're in a sleep state, you have different you have different neurotransmitters that are, neurotransmitter systems that are active. And so looking at the dynamics of that, like I mean, I guess it would be a good question of like a person asleep and kind of like not responsive to it versus somehow asleep but able to recognize that it's happening. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it also would matter a lot for like if it is shown that you retain information. Like I think right now it's first prove that you can interact, then what interactions are possible and how can those be used in different things. Like I know if advertisers could get people to listen to like radio while they're sleeping, the advertisers would want advertisements that would subliminally prime you. Like
I see Ryan's going for the full evil. I see.
I always have to think of the like devil's advocate, like what is the worst thing that could be easily done if it's shown that it's possible to get people to feel a certain way, or if sleep state, or if you could like make someone not as happy when they wake up, like just
that's the movie of Inception. They are that's the job of movies. Let's do the worst thing possible in the writer's room. All right.
Yeah, but I mean, like if advertisers could get that extra like time slot, or really if anyone can get a time slot of like where your brain's active and they could feed you any information they want, that could be very dangerous.
Again, we are summarizing the movie Dreamscape.
There's another one. I think it's called the. Oh man, it's got Robert Redford and it's on Netflix. And basically, they're trying to record the other side after you die, and they have this massive head array of EEGs. I don't know.
Okay. The other thing we can do is find movies that have really interesting EEG equipment in them. But as
I'm saying, before whatever you just said in the chat, before we had that, it'd be great to like record them. That's what they had. And it showed up on a little tiny screen. They've got all this equipment in modern day.
Well, that's yeah. I dropped in just a little snippet from what they said their goal was. Akin to finding a way to talk with an astronaut who is in another world, who's on another world. But in this case, the world is entirely fabricated on the basis of memories stored in the brain. This would be a large step forward to promote future progress in dream research.
Well, I think there is some innate skepticism around lucid dreaming in terms of like, is it real? Is it different than regular dreaming? You know, is it measurable? Is it quantifiable? So if they can show that this response happens during that state, but does not happen when people are not lucid dreaming, that seems kind of like it implicitly points towards legitimizing the idea that it's somehow different.
Yeah, that could be useful.
No, I mean, I thought what you were, your synopsis at the beginning there, Alex, was I think pretty spot on, and good for them. Anyway, I think their paper got a lot of press.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I've seen it everywhere.
Yeah. I did too. So I don't know. Oh, I didn't. So it is 6:30, and it's time we would normally turn over to John Griffiths to give us an update on EEG notebooks.
We're still waiting for a further ethics review process.
Yeah, no. Thank you, Richard. I wasn't sure if John was going to be able to join us today, but and maybe he's just listening in.
Yeah, it's in there.
That's totally cool. Yes. So one thing. Well, that's great. I did not catch the Moab meeting this morning, but it did happen. Manuel, did you catch the Moab meeting?
No, sorry, I couldn't. I was very busy today.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, it's awesome. Super progress. Devesh and Ali both have had PRs merged, and just really exciting to see that developing. And what was somehow benchmarks came up recently. Let me just find this. So did everybody see, I don't want to jump ahead to cosine stuff, but let me just see if I can remember. It's like neural latent. GitHub. I think. So this was posted on cosine. No, it's not neural latent.
Just a quick question regarding EEG notebooks. I was working a lot with this library recently, and I was wondering when the developer meeting is going to take place, or maybe and asking me if I can join.
Good. Yeah. I'll somewhat leave that. I mean, so for sure, make you're on the discussion. I mean, I think John's using the discussions and discussion feature on GitHub. Probably more than Slack. And I know that there's going to be some meetings coming up, I think next week.
Next Friday, 12 p.m.
Next Friday,
EST.
12. Okay. And is that
what time? Sorry.
12 be, EST.
Yeah.
Okay.
And is that's gonna be on Jitsi or Meet or?
Probably Google Meet. I haven't kind of done a link yet.
Okay.
We can try and use the Discord. Maybe one of the Discord channels.
Discord requires a client. I think it'd be better to use Google Meet because you can use it in the browser.
I used Discord on the browser actually. I never used I never used a client for Discord.
Oh.
I use it inside.
I didn't know you could do it in the browser at all.
Yes, you can do it actually.
Here it is. So
every time I ever used Discord in the past, I had to download it on my desktop or download it on my mobile.
Yeah. Well, we use Discord a lot with the student club. So we have our weekly meetings through Discord, and I only use the web. Discord
Mamo,
app.
what have you been doing? You said you've been doing some stuff recently. What experiments?
Regarding EEG notebooks?
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to use it for capturing where I was modifying the existing experiments to capture EMG data from to work on a little experiment with game engines. I modified a lot of scripts, and I used some of the bases for the visualization and the machine learning. I've been trying all the experiments that are available, and I went into some trouble in some of them. I think they are very easy. They have a very easy fix, but maybe I can share.
Yeah, there are a few breakages here and there in some of the experiments that we're aware of. Yeah, great to have your fix suggestions.
But it's a great tool. I mean,
are you
you guys. Thank you. Sorry?
Are you using the CLI to run experiments, or are you trying to run?
No. Actually, no. I'm only using Jupyter notebooks. Okay. I haven't tried CLI yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak for John Jaden, but I think the CLI interfaces had more.
Looks like we might have lost Morgan for a sec. Oh.
Yeah. I wonder what he was going to say.
I just lost everybody. Sorry.
What were you saying, Morgan? About the CLI?
I was just saying that I thought that the CLIs have had, or the CLI has had more attention recently, and so I think you might find some problems with notebooks that are just hasn't caught up or haven't. Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely going to try CLI then this day.
Yeah.
Thanks for.
Yeah, and so I found the link. It's neurolatents.github.io. So this is kind of cool in that this is more for invasive electrophys, but trying to be trying to develop, I mean, like Moab, trying to develop a benchmark that that researchers can use to start comparing algorithms and other choices that they're making, in the same way that a lot of the image models or image modeling work gets benchmarked and publicized, or they're using this. I wasn't familiar with eval AI, but check out this short little YouTube, and looks pretty cool. First benchmark will be released in March, and yeah, so I see this and I just think, this is again why Moab is such a great idea, and like nobody else is doing it. So
this is what Moab needs. I mean, a website, a face.
I like it. I like it.
And if you see, this is actually a GitHub page. So
I think we need more marketing. I'm gonna send that to Sylvain right now. Need a website.
Yeah, I can help you guys with that. I mean,
that would be awesome.
I have a little experience.
Just nice. Anyway, that was the one thing. Let me just check anything. Let me see if there's anything new on Gitter. I mean, just lots of. So I'm also just looking here, where you can see what. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, so Manuel, there was EMG together in this particular new data set that Ali was trying to get added. I don't know. So I think it was a motor imagery one. So I think it would be might be interesting for analysis.
Awesome.
Oh shoot. Sorry, I missed Vladislav today, but anyway, always great to catch up on the latest here for Moab, and yeah. So one thing that came out of discussion earlier in the week. There is an alternative to Pyrimon. So I never really, until we started talking about trying to help with merges and things by having our own version of Pyrimon, so that we can start to update things like not only the merges but also things like the scikit-learn support. I hadn't really looked into. Are there other supported alternatives to Pyrimon? And that was when Sebastian, who joins us at Paris meeting, as well as sometimes the Moab, who now works part-time at INRIA, talked about geomstats. That give you GPU support. Now Sylvain says that Pyrimon is still actually very good at what it does in without that GPU support, and I'm just reading something on the MOAB. Go ahead. Sorry, was somebody saying something?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So, you know, I think some more would need to be done, but like Pyremon definitely has some EEG features. Oh, sorry. With Geomstats, with the Geomstats developer. For those again interested, so let me just. There's I just dropped links to just to catch some more about yeah, just how important and how lucky I think we are in the EEG world that Alexander had already developed this toolbox for EEG use, because as you'll see in these discussions, this is, you know, they're advocating for this to be, you know, incorporated at a fundamental level for all machine learning. And so I do, it's interesting to see what you can find here in the Geomstats discussions, because yeah, like I said, she has a recent presentation at SciPy, as well as this kind of interview that that is the second link I dropped there.
So is this library in some way better than Pyremon?
Well, so it would be if so depending on how I don't know what the bottlenecks are for Pyremon. If it has any, then Geomstats together, you know, plus a GPU or multiple GPUs could potentially solve that. I mean, the other main thing, and this was, you know, kind of the reason that Sebastian was bringing it up, was just that, like, hey, you know, this package is, this is the production of, you know, multiple labs, multiple postdocs, and, you know, research groups contributing. Like, it's got a lot more features than a package that was developed a number of years ago and hasn't had any real attention except for, you know, the odds, you know, mostly I believe bug fixes or small additions that have come up. Okay. So I would love to see, you know, I mean, anyway, this is what Sebastian wanted to see, was like, could we take like Pyremon's examples and see how hard would it be to, you know, re-implement this in Geomstats? Like, certainly by design, Geomstats is trying to be as easy an interface to incorporate these.
There's an fMRI connectome example in the documentation.
Yes. Yeah. So
I was looking at through their open issues. They're pretty good on their ratio. I would say they have 74 open, almost 200 closed. It's pretty good. Last push was 7 days ago, not 7 weeks. And the issue that I looked at said that they were looking at KNNs, and Nina was like asking, why are we maintaining a class instead of scikit-learn? And the guy's answer was, I was trying to make it easier to use. I was like, okay.
So there's a lot of good stuff there. Like I said, like, you know, it's coming. I mean, Alexander Bereshon didn't develop Pyremon kind of like in a vacuum, right? Like as I understand it, it was, I'm not sure who the PI is, but down in the South, I want to say it's like GISA Lab, like GISA. And yeah, forgive me for the history on this, but like, anyway, there were, you know, there's definitely a group there in France that was working on things like, yeah. So Sylvain mentioned that I think it's Congido is now working on a Moab and Julia, so which would also have like Pyremon, you know, like Riemannian features, metrics. Anyway, a lot of good stuff here. Yeah, for sure, John. I mean, it's like they've already got some good examples that are really relevant. I posted, or I brought this up at the Moab meeting. Yeah, there's a couple of fMRI papers in like bioRxiv that are talking about, you know, the use of Riemannian geometry to improve, you know, various estimates and pipelines. And yeah, so she's coming specifically from more of the kind of shape analysis, which is what it was kind of more traditionally for, but yeah.
And I actually have some ideas on how that can be applied to music, and I'm not sure if only a handful of people may have even tried it at this point. Because I believe that music, if kind of like a spectrogram can do for an FFT, it creates this more complex space than we think about, than just what the FFT is. Like there's all these other aspects of music besides just pitch over time, and it makes a more complex shape than anybody's really ever thinking about. And that, I know the math has to exist to do analysis on that. Just like you can't analyze music if somebody's improvising for 5 minutes, you can't analyze the music until it's passed. So maybe you could use some projections into the future. I don't know. I might try to do the degree on that. We'll see.
I'm curious. I mean, yeah.
Are you a musician?
I was doing a music theory graduate program, thinking of doing a doctorate in algorithmic composition.
Okay.
So now I'm going to actually try to do. They have, yeah. We'll see.
What's there's a great center at Stanford for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, Karma.
That sounds very cool. How does it work?
Yeah, CCRMA.
Yep. I pretty much identified most of the major labs that are doing this work, and there's only so many people that are trying this now. And even with COVID, people are like, why would you, I'm sure places are asking, why would you fund that when we need virus research?
What is the term? Sorry, algorithmic composition?
Algorithmic composition. And well, I was getting into it because I wanted to create in my lifetime like an AI that can make music, and then also one that listens, and then another one that analyzes the difference between the two. It's something
like
that
like a GAN?
No, like yeah, GANs are going to be involved in the generation likely, because it's a real fast and dirty method now. I say that because I have David Cope's book in my hallway, and that's a more rigid model. It was basically you feed Bach to it, and it can spit more Bach out as if he's still alive, and it's music theoretically, it's spot on. And it works. He also went on to make David Cope. His latest project is an AI that can write novels, and his first one's already for sale.
So
it's a lot of Bach training data.
You'd be surprised. He didn't really need to feed it that much. He also didn't need to feed the novel writer that much, I'm sure, either. I don't know what exactly he fed it, but I'm sure it works.
I think OpenAI had projects related to something like that. It was jukebox,
It does.
something like that.
OpenAI has both a writing one, as well as a music one. GPL3. Actually, I think they're on GPL4. For the writing based on.
I've seen the output of so many of these things, and I'm not really impressed yet. The only thing that really impressed me was the thing that spits out new metal music it's round the clock metal music generated by an AI. But even then, if you listen to it for more than an hour, it doesn't really vary. And some metal songs actually have quiet sections. There's no quiet sections. It's because they didn't feed it enough data.
Yeah. One of my friends actually they sampled a ton of music they liked. Then they got an AI to write music based on it. Then had one of my other friends remix it into an actual song. And they use it as their opening song in their Twitch channel. It's actually pretty good. I'll see if I can find a copy
That's
of
why I
it.
use the terms fast and dirty for generative adversarial networks in music, because David Cope did all this work, and Jennifer GANs can do just about as good of a job, I think. And they might even be better. Actually, I would probably reread that book and then think about GANs and then combine the two so that there are sections of improvisation while larger sections of form. And a lot of these things, when I said I'm not impressed by the music AIs, they largely ignore large, strong song structures. And even for that matter, these people that are training these songs, oh my God, the problem is the word song. There are people that live in this world that think all music has to fit in a liter, as they call it in Germany. We've forgotten about symphonies and sonatas, and I could go on forever about this. Let's talk about more brain stuff.
Yeah.
So, well, I was trying to find the link to Donald Knuth's work on algorithmic song composition. But yeah.
In the short term, I know I can. In the short term, I know I want to use my OpenBCI hardware, get a metric that the science community is okay with, like focus or something, and then maybe I improvise, and then I look at my focus levels while I was improvising, and then I go back in the musical recording, or maybe I'm recording MIDI data too, and I say that's the section I want to extrapolate, and in my next recording, that's going to be the motive of my song. So using actual scientific metrics from EEG about intent and things like that to inform the process. People have done it, but you know what? I don't know. I can't really trust anybody else to do things like this when I'm a particular person. So I'm going to do it eventually.
Certainly a good time to bring up the, not only the OpenBCI, or this is the OpenBCI meeting, but with the additional speakers is Poppy Crumb from Dolby Labs, who could, tell us a lot about recording, people listening to music, and what can we really learn from that. Anyway, would love to make that a topic that we do cover.
There have been there has been no shortage of people asking us in official support threads about music and EEG. You know, it's not just one person. There's and in fact, every time I see a person like that, I'm like, thank you. We need more of that. And it's hard to find people to fund, you know, when you could be working on a medical issue, I guess, if a company's going to come in and sponsor your PhD and buy your dissertation, they want it to be for a medical product rather than how people feel when they listen to low tones.
Right.
There is
sorry,
actually music. Sorry.
No. So yeah, lots of good topics in kind of EEG of music, and hopefully that's something when Tim Mullen joins us, that would be a great topic to bring up with him as someone who both enjoy, you know, he's someone who definitely enjoys music, has definitely done some work on it, as well as producing interactive or kind of like multimedia presentations along with music that are also drawn from or including kind of sonification and or visualization of brain data.
Yeah, just for anybody that's new, what is it? It's Alvin Lucier's Music for Solo Performer, and he's doing this motion like I'm doing right now, and he sits there in a chair, and he tries to produce alpha waves, and he has it rigged up to various percussion instruments around him, and it just, when you generate alpha waves, he knew how the pulse would sound, and it just vibrates a mallet on top of the head and makes little rumbles, but it's kind of like it was poor man's 3D sound environment for back then. Still very cool, and it started it all. And the sky's the limit now.
And actually, I think it could be very interesting to use music in some ¿cómo se decía? When they using interfaces to make sound with brainwaves, so people can learn how to manipulate some of the brainwaves. For example, there are interfaces in which the people can learn how to manipulate the pain in their bodies by looking at the screen. So they look at the screen shows them an image of fire, for example, and they can learn how to increase or decrease the pain by manipulating their own waves. So I believe music can be used for something similar.
That gets closer into neurofeedback land.
Yes, neurofeedback. That's the word I was not getting.
Okay.
I think there's neurofeedback's great, but I also like seeing how people feel about music, because if in my little diagram that I had in mind, if you want to have an AI that listens to music, we don't truly know how humans feel when they listen to music.
There's actually a couple body of research about that. Like they are using music as a way of biofeedback, and they use I don't know, classical music to lower stress levels in people. So I heard a little bit about that.
And that makes sense from a music theory standpoint, because classical music has a lot of structure, and people kind of like structure.
Yeah. Just a quick question. What is this Rapids AI that I cannot share? I don't know if you can give a little bit of background. It seems very interesting.
Sure. I mean, I thought of Rapids. Isn't Rapids a NVIDIA library?
It's funded by NVIDIA. It isn't owned by NVIDIA. Like they did most of the development, but I've seen a couple demos, and it's extremely fast, and they want as many like machine learning algorithms to work with it as possible, and because both Geomstats and Rapids.ai both support PyTorch, I think there would be a somewhat decent path to get Geomstats to work with Rapids.ai, because like it's they're pretty much trying to make the easiest to set up like machine learning AI like package they can. Like they're now adding Windows support finally, thanks to the Linux backend addition to Windows 10, and like it's pretty easy to build Rapids.ai because you can literally build different versions of it on the website and download the exact one you want to use.
So it's like a library of drivers to use your GPU, something like that?
It's kind of. It's like it's pretty much they knew that CUDA was good for accelerating machine learning, but CUDA code is incredibly obtuse and hard to figure out for certain applications. And they also wanted a open source project that they could get a lot of support from Microsoft, Google, and could implement on cloud systems. So they built Rapids.ai like 2019. And
does work on these types of things in Gemstats and these AI, is it being used in research, or does it ever get deployed into something we would use besides cars?
That's I mean, theoretically you could probably run your house on it, like if you have a smart house and literally want to analyze weather patterns to predetermine what setting your thermostat should be. Like that is actually
I guess if they were going to embed it on a thermostat, they probably are writing C or C++ then, I guess.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're crypto mining and you're eating your house. Okay, you're eating your house. All you're trying to work out is like, when you're sending the heat to various parts of the house.
Yeah.
For a minute, I thought that it was free GPUs or something like that. So, but thanks for the clarification.
So I mean, I thought that maybe they were kind of like adding to, kind of like the base library in terms of like more data science routines or something, but it seems like it's a bit more just trying to keep you on the GPU the entire time.
Yeah. That's a big part of it, is keeping handoffs and making it so that you could literally run this on a like NVIDIA Jetson or one of their Tegra processors, like one of their really high efficiency GPUs that has not much CPU bandwidth at all.
That means they're trying to make this so they can do edge computing. That's what it means.
That's a big part of it. Yeah. I mean, it was fun to watch the live demo where the guy literally pulled out this crappy laptop and literally connected it to 2 servers back at NVIDIA headquarters. One was like a $50,000 Intel like CPU monster computer, and then one was just a like had two 1080 Ti's in it, and he pressed start at the same time. The GPU version ended in about 2 minutes, and then we spent the entire rest of the meeting discussing stuff, and then at the very end of the meeting the other one finished. and they also showed how it's more efficient than their old CUDA implementations. I should find if there's any really good talks about it, but like yeah, maybe I'll see if at some point anyone I know at NVIDIA would be interested in speaking here on algorithms, because that could be a good topic to discuss.
Well, if I could pick, it'd be something like development libraries, or like pros and cons of various development libraries. Right?
Yeah, that would be very nice. Also,
anyway,
how to properly integrate these libraries into like growing data sets. Like if you want to always be processing data that comes in pretty consistently, but also keep that data from getting like screwed up if there's too much data. Like,
when's the last time y'all had a data scientist do a presentation here, like about some basics for the lay people here, like me?
So what would be good to cover?
A little bit. I mean, I'm tired. What I don't need is people saying computer vision and natural language processing, because those people are already in their own little domain, and it doesn't truly apply to brain computer interfaces.
No, I mean, it's good question. So this will let's segue into the 7 o'clock cosine 2021, and I'll bring it back to that, Richard. So this week cosine started and is not quite over. You can find links, and so the big computational neuroscience or computational system neuroscience meeting, and yeah, the very cool thing is that they're streaming everything. So everything you can find on YouTube. So I put a link to their kind of to their main page on YouTube. You can find everything that that they've posted so far, or that they've recorded so far. On Tuesday, it started with these tutorials on recurrent neural networks for neuroscience, and so highly recommend them. They've got a little bit. I mean, again, check the links that I've dropped here. I don't actually see the. Sorry, I thought I'd put the YouTube links. Oh, I think I probably ran out of characters. Anyway, you can find the links to the YouTube videos here, as well as kind of like the tutorial, anything associated with it. What I did though was I included PsychRNN, or link to PsychRNN, and a YouTube video for that. And it seems super relevant. It was also to kind of trying to come back to Richard's point about at least getting into deep learning. So the presentation that you'll see on the YouTube link with PsychRNN that I put in the meetup notes is from Neuromatch Academy 3 last year, and I forget the grad student's name that was presenting, but she was talking about like why they didn't use Keras, or so I think of fast AI as kind of being the PyTorch version of Keras. and I don't know if that makes sense, but where, you know, Fast AI's got this philosophy. So Fast AI is from University of San Francisco, Richard, and which is nice that it's a hometown product. And the idea being, or like what I really like about Jeremy, I forget.
Fast AI, make neural nets uncool again. Okay.
Yeah. But Jeremy Howard is his name, and together with Rachel, sorry, I forget all their names. They have a bunch of things that are all free and, you know, freely available. All are free and have no ads. So if you go to fastai.com, I mean Fast AI, and this is the PyTorch. Okay, yeah, thanks.
They seem to have some issue with breaking a code of conduct, and it's all over their homepage. I don't know why they would do that.
Well, so NumFocus said that he broke a code of conduct, and they later said, like, no, he didn't.
And well, who is NumFocus, and why are they regulating somebody building a tool?
So I think he was talking at a NumFocus sponsored meeting.
Oh, okay.
So well, NumFocus is a really awesome nonprofit that is associated with I forget if it's Continuum Analytics or In Thought, but it's associated with a lot of kind of like commercial computational Python companies. That this is their nonprofit that just tries to support the computational Python ecosystem. So NumFocus supports like 20 plus packages, I believe, that are many of which are like super key packages. And so the one, like, I think
they support pandas or scikit-learn or something.
Something like it's something like pandas. I don't
well,
know if
NumPy,
it is, but,
right? NumPy.
Oh, right, that one. Forgot that one.
And I know that they support Phoenix. So I was
Matplotlib. How about that? And pandas, and SciPy. Oh man.
Yeah. So anyway, it was a big deal when this happened, because you know, when you get called out for breaking code of conduct, like that can look really bad, right? So I think Jeremy was wanted to get in front of this.
But what did he do?
I don't think it matters. I think they should take it down so I can learn about deep learning instead of whatever they're talking about.
So like, again, like, I'm not going to tell him what to do, but I think he was giving a presentation after someone else, and was like, it sounded like in his presentation he was being derogatory about the person who made the presentation about like a competing tool or something like that.
Yeah, so I think the backstory around it was with there's a popular talk called Jupyter Notebooks are Dead or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was giving a counter argument to that about like Jupyter Notebooks. Now, the context behind it though was that when the conversation or when the talk was happening, it was a pretty light thing. And the speaker he was talking about, I think, also did not have any problems with it. I think he actually also tweeted that he didn't have any problems with it. But yeah, I think the whole fiasco just kind of boils down to how you know, codes of conduct, when selectively applied, you know, lead to it was very obscure. I think was the whole scenario about it. So if you read the blog, you would see that it was just kind of weird, right? Especially seeing as nobody pays. I don't know if they paid him to give his talks, but it's these things where you're doing things because you're enjoying doing them, and someone decides to pick on something that wasn't really a thing. So
Right.
And-
So
and-
it wasn't like doing Nazi salutes or something like that. It was just
No.
being
No.
Jenny-
It was like, sorry.
Jenny dropped a link to something that I was checking out. I was wondering if she wanted to talk about that more, called some device or an app or something. You want to talk about it, Jenny? Or just...
Oh, sorry, my background's really noisy. Oh, I was just in the Alberta Tech Nat chat.
Chat.
Yeah, which was really cool. And the presenter presented on this device, which kind of links back to that music and neural net stuff, and EECG. And it was just interesting that they were using the body as a resonance chamber, and it had gone through clinical studies as well, and they had quite cool background on how effective it was. Sorry, my background's super noisy.
My dog is barking.
So it's called the Sensate, and she dropped the link in chat. What exactly does there's a picture of a guy with headphones. Maybe you have an app on it, and there's some little device. What is the device supposed to do?
Well, it seems that the device sends infrasound. It was hard to know, but via microphone through, and uses the thoracic chamber as the resonance chamber. So you'd feel it throughout your body. I thought it was really cool. And as soon as the guy was talking about it, I was like looking up microphones that had big range.
This is the type of stuff that I'm glad exists, because you may not need to inject current into somebody's brain if you can just do the right vibrations or give them a massage in a certain way. You know,
I thought
either maybe massaging the neck versus, I don't know, massaging somebody's forehead. I don't know.
Yeah, and there might be some cool crossover to that targeted ultrasonics as well. But I don't know enough about the science behind that to see what it was like. But I thought it's the kind of device that I saw and I was like, I wonder how I could build my own version of this quickly. But they said there was quite like a soundscape involved with the infrasound that worked in harmony with the audible sound. And I was like, it sounds a bit binaural beady. I'm not sure if that's been truly investigated about how effective it is. But then again, that kind of stuff would be super cool to do, especially if it was, supported by science. Or like the long.
I can tell you right now, to make really low and really high sounds, you have to have expensive speaker systems. So if they're charging $250 for it, they might have to be doing some special magic.
Yeah, that's kind of what I found as well when looking at how small a microphone you could get that does that kind of range. And I was instant.
Your phone doesn't even hit bass frequencies that are audible.
Yeah,
you have to have a massive subwoofer to hit 5 frequencies.
Yeah, so I wonder if they were using piezo's or some other actuator to skip the sound and put it straight into vibration, and then get the acoustic effect by using the body instead of relying on sound waves and as sound waves.
Infra means low, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason behind, and from a music theory standpoint, to use low tones is that they contain the higher tones or something like that. That's like when you hit a low C, and you play it and you just hit that note on the piano, you'll see little harmonic spikes down the line as part of the harmonic series, as they say.
I find the music theory stuff gets super complex, super quick. And especially if you delve into the mathematics behind it as well.
When you hit that low C, you're actually hearing slight bits of these particular intervals, and they decrease as you go up. That's why in music, if you want to make something that sounds good, on the lower end, you'll hit a C, go up the octave, and then you make the interval smaller in just such a way, depending on the root tone. And that's what people try to do. One of the silliest things I ever heard in regards to music and stuff was that changing the tuning of A440 to A442 would make you feel different. And I mean, it's sharp by 2 cents. I don't know if you could ever prove it.
Yeah, I wonder how sensitive people, your average Joe, is actually to that.
That's the biggest point, yeah.
Yeah, I saw it's the same thing as getting a 8K TV, right? what is
but people with perfect pitch, it like hurts them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been reading some stuff about like auditory processing disorders and perfect pitch, and like how irritating actually having perfect pitch is, instead of being like this wonderful ability. It's just super frustrating all the time as people fall in and out of pitch.
Yeah, and like Synesthesia, I think two of the biggest artists I think that I've heard it. I know I've heard Skrillex possibly has Synesthesia, and I think maybe Bjork. I don't know about her, but I've heard for sure Skrillex claims to have synesthesia. He hears sound, sees a color.
Oh, that's really interesting. I wonder if he falls in that group of
like cheating.
Yeah, of those who see. There's a
It
group.
makes it really easy to write music because you can just think of a painting and I don't know.
It's done. There's apparently a group of synesthetes who have the same color set that they see regarding to numbers, and it turned out that that color set was the colors used for the fridge magnets between like 1980 and 1996 or something like that. And it's this theory that there isn't flexibility amongst synesthetes. So like if you see the yellow one as your first ever one, you link those two together instead of generalizing them out. So yeah, it's interesting about like I think it's a connectivity issue, and that's also interesting. While there's more prevalence of synesthetes among the neurodiverse community because of the connectivities in pruning that does not happen.
Yeah, that's what was it that Mike posted? I forget where he posted that. Do you remember that, Jenny? Mike Parada. There was something. Sorry, just a sec.
Hey, Morgan or John, have you ever heard of any studies that validate synesthesia?
Well, I mean, what do you mean validates it?
Like, hey, we found something noticeably different in these people. Objectively.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of work on that.
I know people who do it. What's his name? Is it Nick Ward? Something Ward. In ETL. It's not Nick Ward, is it?
Okay, I
Imaging guy.
I think he actually quit science. He's now data scientist over in East Bay.
Right.
But that's Nick Ward. Oh, I didn't realize Mike wrote this. So, so this was actually a link that Mike Prada dropped in our Slack. But I'm now realizing that he was actually the author. That's cool. And I told him that he should definitely come and talk to us about it. Maybe next time. Or
Jamie Ward's the guy. I'm sorry.
Gotcha. So, well, let me just again, like one of the reasons I posted about the PsychRNN was that PsychRNN is an interesting project where they are very much trying to give you an easy to use package to get started. They're trying to solve a number of things that would be, difficult for you to get to make a kind of biologically inspired recurrent neural network that can do cognitive tasks. And it's very much in the spirit of fast AI in terms of like get you going with something is what is kind of like the fast AI philosophy. And in her talk, she was saying that you can't actually use Keras for this because of the limitations that Keras has to impose to be kind of like easy to use. So this is TensorFlow based package, which is why I'm mentioning Keras.
Thanks for that link, John. That is the nail on the head right there with Jamie Ward for synesthesia. There's a bullet point that says the biological basis for synesthesia. There's a whole talk. Woo.
There was a research that stated that people can learn to have synesthetic experiences. I don't know if you watch that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that a lot of people actually have is, depending on situation, is taste and smell is one of the easiest to trigger for people who don't have it. Like a while ago, I know I have it with certain things. Like there's certain drinks that they taste like the smell of something that is a completely different thing. So like a drink I absolutely love, it tastes like the smell of wet paint. Or like when I taste it, I smell wet paint. And it's like it's such a weird experience. Another thing is a while back I smelled some burnt onions, and I actually tasted charcoal. I wasn't even near these, but I was somehow tasting charcoal. But yeah, synesthesia is a really interesting topic that I definitely think would be fun to, like, I don't know how much they've been able to see if there's what cognitive differences happen. Especially if
this is why, if you're using, I know this is kind of out there, but that's where it's related. If you're doing LSD or ecstasy therapies, it's pretty dangerous. You could break something in there and people could start having hallucinations and stuff afterwards. But yeah, not everybody can do those types of therapies and just be okay afterwards.
There's even people that loses their ability to project synesthesia after trauma or after drug abuse.
Yeah, I guess after sustained drug abuse, I'm sure John's probably looked into this. You know, you could some drugs are called dissociatives, and then you might permanently disassociate. It's a very sad state. John, what have you learned in your studies about people who abuse drugs for a long time and the consequences that might entail?
I don't know much about that, I'm afraid. It's not my area of expertise. Sorry, Richard.
Are you trying to more like prevent it, I guess?
Yeah, I think you could say that. I mean, I work at this hospital that has addiction in the title, but not everyone who works there is working on addiction. So it's not my kind of bag.
I just remember looking at this stuff because I was on antidepressants at the time, and I was, at nightclubs where this stuff was probably around, and I was like, I don't want to get serotonin syndrome, so keep my distance from that.
I lost everybody again on Jitsi.
Bad connection.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have to restart my router or is nobody else's. I'm the one dropping out, is that right? Okay. So yeah, I just brought in this so here's this is the of course. This is RNN PsychRNN in Colab, and you know, this is kind of why I wanted to or bring up this particular project, which is that it is, you know, it's a great way to get started in terms of kind of like this kind of foundational tutorial that kicked off Cosine. And you know, I think it's really interesting what their goals are for it. So if you check the let me, here's the link. So here's the eNeuro paper that describes it, and again, like I've already dropped the links for the, you know, GitHub and her talk at Neuromatch Academy 3 that gives you some, you know, a tighter kind of synopsis of it.
Ooh, at least this is a free paper. This is pretty specific. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, so it's definitely something, or like this has come up in terms of some other projects, you know, like should we be, or you know, Arvin's SSVEP package, or you know, project uses Keras for steady state Veep classification. She makes a good case for why they can't use Keras, but at the same time, this is a nice, you know, like you should be able to get started with 11 lines of code, and you can start, you know, the most important thing being like what you know, what kind of task do you want to train this to do, and then of course, you know, what do you think would be of interest when you're looking at the trained network in terms of how the trained network is, you know, encoded or has these representations included in its weights.
Is this offline?
This would be something that you train. I mean, yeah, it's definitely for kind of research purposes. I mean, you train it to do a task. It could be doing that task online if you wanted it. But what you're really interested to see is you know, how the network has represented this in its weights. Although she did say that you could have the network actually produce the kind of like you know, so people were wondering if you could use this to simulate brain activity and I think, you know, she answered a question about this in terms of you could get it to generate synthetic neural activity, but honestly, I think you'd have to give it, you know, for it to be representative, you'd really need to give it kind of a model. What she pointed out about this particular network was that, like, when this is trained, you're not giving it any idea about the task. So anyway, certainly a project that you can jump in with after, you know, the kind of like hour tutorial that Kanaka Rajan did, or Kanaka Rajan did on Tuesday.
So just a quick question, Morgan. So you mentioned that they have a model that you can use without doing any pre-training?
No, they've got code you can use to train a model.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay.
What you're interested in is basically, what's the network look like after you've trained, given the task.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is cosine, so they care about, like, how are these networks representing these things, and you know, and what can we learn from that?
Okay.
Yeah, if I can talk a little bit about, so we messed around with Keras and FastAI enough to kind of get a little bit of a flavor for both. So with all of these libraries, there's a couple of steps involved. The most difficult is data preparation and structuring. Regardless of which library you use, it's still complicated to label all your data, structure all your data, and even if you're not labeling it, just getting from EEG into I'm ready to feed it in will take a little doing. But when you're done with that, or if you've already done that, these libraries kind of address the issue of, okay, now that I've got my data, how do I train a network on it? So Keras has actually done quite a lot to improve their usability. Somewhere in the last year and a half, they started including sort of a very clear API that allows you to call one of, I want to say like 8 different models. And these models do allow you to initialize them pre-trained, but most of these models are visual networks. And so most of these pre-trained image weights are going to be on like ImageNet, on Coco, and on other like segmentation libraries and so on. You can also do things like call in a convolutional neural network, which is not going to be pre-trained, but they're pretty lightweight, so they train very quickly on your data. The biggest difference between like and the functionality to do multiple models and call things in kind of a standard Python-y way, FastAI tries to make everything like as simple and automated as possible. Unfortunately, there isn't compatibility between either the API calls and the models. So it's like you get wider access when you use Keras, but you get these more specialized, you know, nicely tuned networks with these custom libraries. So if you want to just try training in some standard forms, FastAI is really nice for that if you don't want to learn Keras. And it's exciting to hear about this one because there has not been a good RNN model, certainly not for Keras, to load. So if there's kind of like a nice way to start using an RNN and get good insight into how it trained, I'm guessing that's what this PsychRNN kind of really offers.
That's definitely, that's all it's trying to do. Like it's definitely not trying to give you as broad a scope as Keras, but you know, get like, if you've got a task, they're going to help you, you know, distill that down for their project, and then they've got a basic RNN and a was that long short term
LSTM.
Yeah. And again, like check out the YouTube or the Neuromatch talk, because I thought that was actually pretty good. So I did.
Oh, looks like we lost Morgan again.
Who was here? Did Graham Briggs join us at any point? He signed up. So this is the little bites of pie, bites, BYTES. Is Graham Briggs is the brain hat developer. No,
Brains at Play.
No, that's different guy.
Graham.
He's at USC. I mean, even though he's like at home in Wisconsin right now, he's a grad student, I think, at USC master's program there. Graham Briggs has been using. You actually commented on a thing he posted in, I think, on the Open BCI forum, because he's been developing. Let me just. Anyway, he was going to come talk, not necessarily this week, but he's going to come talk about his Raspberry Pi Open BCI LSL work.
I'm sorry, Brains at Play is Garrett M. Flynn.
Yeah.
At USC. Sorry.
So this is here's what I was talking about, Richard.
Oh yes, yeah. It's actually in my contract that I want to work on multi-user setups, and currently, right now, that's not a hot thing to work on because of COVID. They're like, nobody's ever going to get together, and 5 people are going to have headsets. Everybody's doing their own thing right now, but well, COVID isn't going to last forever, hopefully. I mean, if even just if there's 10 people in a room and how they feel influences the experience, the art experience of a piece, it needs to be happening. And then you can also do things like making other people, maybe the piece is just simply showing how stressed each person that's there feels. And then you're being socially aware of how other people feel, and there's a metric that everybody can see. Maybe you play cards, or maybe there's some games that are set out. I don't know. I'd love to do more art like that, but this is the reason why I got into electronic music over classical, is just people didn't seem to care. Like, who's going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for the space, for the performance? Another reason why I got into software.
I think that's why it makes a lot of sense to get all of multiplayer like BCI working in VR, because that would be a good way to do it when people can't visit each other. Like
the guy that works on Galia with us, Guillermo Bernal from MIT. I believe a lot of his research is in quote unquote effective computing, and he's really interested in how I can't speak for him, but from my impression is that he wants to see how VR and effective computing can help increase empathy in people. I think that's kind of what he's shooting for. It's a great plan.
Is he using BCIs or is he using only VR?
Wait, what?
Is he using biosignal, like some sort of BCI, or
He's working with us on Dahlia.
Oh, great!
He created the facepad portion.
Awesome.
Yes, he's over the facepad portion, and he's making sure he's helping with putting the two halves of the thing together. Not literally, because that's the guy who makes the device, but yeah.
Yeah. Can you drop a link of his work, of his lab, maybe?
I'll just drop his name. Wait, I'll give you the interview that we did with him on the community. Community, and then Guillermo should be somewhere.
Because I know one thing.
Here, let him speak for himself. Here's the link. Here you go. Here's what he's all about.
Great.
Yeah, I definitely am excited for Galea and all the different things it could be used for. Like, since one of the first projects I'm working on is a art gallery / museum thing, and I already know that there are people involved. We want people to be able to wear BCI headsets and like try to understand like how them and other people in the VR gallery are feeling about certain things, especially once we start bringing movies in to VR, is how people feel watching movie and and if they feel different if they're watching a movie with other people versus alone, and if there's ways of
like within a week of Black Mirror Bandersnatch coming out, I took the GUI focus widget and I took focus, and I have a Connect V2 sitting right above the thing, so it looked at my face. I looked for smiling, I looked for eyes closed, fed it to a really simple machine learning classifier just to see what was happening, and I programmed in like these cases that I thought made a lot of sense. And basically, Bandersnatch is about I don't know if I've published it. I should publish it at some point. It's about this guy, and he's like, people are controlling me, and I don't know. I'm not even controlling my own actions, and so I Bandersnatched Bandersnatch. It's supposed to be an interactive movie, but I took the control away from myself and let how I felt about the movie click right or left. And it was kind of frustrating at first, but then I was just like, I need to just be at peace with this and enjoy and let it pick for me. And it can only be improved, and the movie's not going away. The way I was able to do that was by hacking the mouse, and I used Max MSP. I used the Cyton, Max, and then data acquisition with the GUI, sent over OS to Max MSP, which then hijacked the mouse and clicked in the Netflix window.
Yeah,
I wanted to tell Netflix about this, but they just don't accept outside emails.
That's pretty cool. You should write about it and share.
I'm telling you, I did this right away. That's just how I am. It's like, this needs to be done.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did anybody join us that would like to introduce themselves or tell us what you'd like to talk about today?
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the last time I introduced myself, we were only like 4. So for the ones that don't know me, I'm Bruno. I'm from La Paz, Bolivia, and I'm in my last year of psychology. And I'm very interested in learning more about technology and programming and apply that to the neurosciences and to the cognitive sciences as well. Nice to meet you all.
That's great. Are you working on a thesis?
Right now, no, because I am training myself with how do you say this, with the clinical service in my university in cognitive behavioral therapy. And yeah, if I make that well, I am gonna be able to get my degree without a thesis. But if not, then I'm going to think about making that.
I see. I see. So you're not running into a thesis. You're not trying to yeah. Okay, I see. That's interesting. And are there ways in which you're using technology now for your clinical service?
No, we are not. But I am planning in, well, I don't know yet, but I'm trying to. For example, I am planning in making an article about why psychologists may want to learn to program, for example, because here it's a very weird concept in it to implement technology in the humanities, right?
It's
So I think
with the studies.
I'm sorry.
So
When you're doing studies, you wouldn't be handing it off to somebody that you don't know what they're doing. You could be more involved with the collaboration on a team.
With the technology, yeah, and that's what we need to learn here, because we can boost all of our fields, right? Not only psychology or neurosciences, right? And that's something that we need to learn from a lot of countries that are implementing that.
What types of things are you learning and studying or researching in psychology where you are?
Well, my university, I am studying in the public university here, and basically it has a heavy orientation to making good to the people, or to make community service and things like that. And right now I'm giving more emphasis in the, I don't know if it's the same word in English, but vocational, um, how do you say this? Vocational orientation. I don't know if it's the same, but basically helping people that are going out of high school make a better decision about what they are going to do, and of course make them understand how the world is changing and how nobody knows how it's going to be in 5 years, but we are basically training for that, or we think we are doing that. So it's basically trying to implement how adapt how adaptive we are going to need to be in this century.
Yeah, not everybody can afford to even go get a vocational degree. They might just be able to attend a few free classes. I think LSU does things like that at the Baton Rouge Library. I was actually able to, attend a computer music class for free.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think it's a great point about, bringing in programming into, say, like psychology. Certainly, like PsychRNN is I think a great example of why programming should have like a fundamental role in psychology, right? That it's not just the skills for data analysis and things like that, but it's actually like model generation and like systems analysis. And I just put in a link to this toward inverse generative social science using multi-objective.
What is that?
Well, so it's actually, there's an upcoming conference, inverse generative social, or inverse generative models in socials. Yeah, here it is.
Wow.
And again, it's kind of to this point of like, again, just like PsychRNN, it's to this point of like, we can talk about social science, and we can obviously measure things about populations and things, but there's a really important role for being able to, to produce generative models of the things that you're studying, right? And in this case, that certainly there's a big focus, so the psych-RNN, there's a big focus on kind of like neural networks and what can neural networks give us. In this inverse generative social science workshop, it's as it kind of says, is like agent-based modeling, right? Like what can agent-based modeling give us, again, that is generative for the kinds of things that we are studying, whatever it is in social sciences, right? And yeah, I was trying to think of, or I was trying to think if there's a really good
is this like social analysis of social things, like why two people would talk in a group and another three would talk separately?
Yeah, so everything from, as it says, epidemiology to anthropology to economics.
Yeah, I guess the economists want to know what people want to buy.
Everybody wants.
Even less, kind of like less than that is just what they call microeconomics, or it's like decision making.
Yeah.
But it's decision making at scale, right? So it's taking these
generalizable, not just like, why would somebody buy one product? That's neuromarketing. This is wow.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I think
it's modeling the behavior.
The product is hopefully advertising. Sorry, go ahead, Bruno.
No, I was just saying that economics is it's closer than we think to psychology, because it's basically our behavior, but translated to numbers, right? To like
they would like to.
They shall never know.
I mean, there is kind of a joke that economists are are quantitative psychologists, right? Except that they're not, and would be very offended by that kind of claim, but I'm trying to think of good kind of like foundational papers on like, we need more, it's not computer science and psychology, but it's more kind of like active modeling. And yeah,
this is what I was after from a music perspective, is whenever you can really understand what the 10 musicians on stage are going through and how that's translated to the 1,000 people they're playing for. It's incredibly complicated, and we're not even scratching the surface on how to analyze that.
So it is 8 o'clock, and I'm just gonna quickly go over things that happened this week. So Paris had Jason Farquhar from Mind Effects presenting. Did anybody catch that?
I tried, but I was busy with work, and I came in late. But somebody was nice enough to share the slides with me, so it was cool.
Okay. Yeah, I could not attend, and so I did not get to press him on my my questions about Raspberry Pis that I was hoping that when they started as a Kickstarter or Indiegogo, I forget, but they were a Raspberry Pi project, and
the slides that I saw said he went into the mathematics and the methods that they chose.
No, that's great. Yeah, I was just going to use the kind of the live nature of it to be able to press them on a couple other things, but so Tuesday actually had a couple of great things. So one was the Neurolib developer. So Kalar Kaken, who again joined us in Paris before because he's based in Berlin. He did a talk on Neurolib, and you know, like again, like it's such a cool package. He's so whole brain whole brain simulations with real complexity, and in addition to just being an awesome cognitive neuroscience.
We lost Morgan again.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's funny though, because Manuel, I could hear you saying we've lost Morgan again.
But we can hear you.
Why? Okay. Yeah. So really, really interesting what he's got available there, and he's kind of focused on fMRI, producing fMRI simulations, and but this is all about the brain's response to electrical stimulation. So this is particularly cool just because that is, you know, is something I think a few people have tried to do with Neuron and a couple other packages, but honestly, you know, like it's I don't want to say it's like his primary use case, but it's like I know that this is what his research is focused around, and it's super interesting because we still don't even understand. There's so much we still don't understand about TDCS. So really cool package to have, and yeah. So, Santosh, did this perk your interest, Neurolib, or?
I'm on mute. Okay. Unfortunately, I couldn't actually join. So I heard Richard talking about, you know, you got the slides, Richard? Is that what I heard?
Oh, for the Mind Effect talk?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, let me see.
I can. Yeah, tell us what you're interested in.
Basically the Raspberry Pi. Yeah.
So there's not going to be anything. They've moved on from Raspberry Pi stuff.
Okay.
John and I are trying to nail down and get better support across a variety of Raspberry Pi outputs, audio as well as visual. So super interested in that. You know, trying to find kind of like the best distro with the best PsychoPi support is what we're looking for. I don't know. Maybe our best hope is the fact that the PsychoPi people are trying to work on their Raspberry Pi support, and so we'll get it when they've given it to us. But you can understand why there's some, you know, some issues, because it's like it's nice that, you know, Fedora and Ubuntu, Debian, everybody supports it. But
Merry Christmas.
But it doesn't mean that they're. It doesn't mean that
Oh,
they're
awesome! Thank you. Oh my
cool.
gosh, awesome! Great, thanks, Richard.
I mean, there was a guy still hanging out in the Jitsi meet, and he was like, he just gave me everything without questioning everything. It's true neurotech fact, NTX fashion.
Yes.
Here's the information.
Yeah, if you've got questions for Jason, I'm sure you could get in touch with him. He's great, and what was I going to say? Mind effect. Raspberry Pi. Nope.
I also wanted to.
Go ahead.
What you're actually thinking about that, right? So I was intrigued by Bruno from Bolivia when he started talking about psychology and college settings. So we actually ran a pilot program against Chicago University, Illinois Institute of Technology, IIT, right in Chicago, where we wanted to help the university assess what actually could be a good motivation factor for kids to actually stay in school. But we did actually use Neurable, right, with HTC Vive Pro, right. We actually simulated kind of a more like an interactive session, right, and recorded their brain waves, right, on what actually spiked their interest. Now, especially the avatar was more on the psychological assessment, right? And it kind of definitely interested the university in general, right? So it was more, they would actually wear the headset, and the avatar would definitely ask them questions, pre-screened psychology questions, right? And we would actually measure them, the brain waves, right? So just as an idea, right? The university loved it, because in particularly, I forgot which topic or subject, right? They were facing a lot of attrition. The students would literally drop out of after 1 year. So, it was something that we did. Just wanted to kind of share, with the Neurable. But the only drawback with Neurable is bulky, so that's my only concern with.
You think the Neurable device is bulky?
No,
I've never touched it. It looks like it fits.
Oh, I actually have a Neurable device. I literally have it here.
Can you hold it up?
Once again.
They'll let you? I don't know.
I think they changed the focus of their products, so I don't think they sell those anymore.
Oh, do they not sell that anymore?
Mavi told me they don't. Mavi told me that they are not longer interested in doing this.
I did think that they've kind of shifted focus, yeah. But
Awesome.
I was looking at
Neurable. A little bit.
Are you playing
LinkedIn
at their employees? And it seems like they have a lot of data people and maybe not a lot of hardware people. I was trying to see how many software engineers they had on their team, and I was struggling to find one. There was like senior data this, senior something else. So they've got a lot of employees, and they're working on something.
Sorry, who are we talking about? Which company?
Neurable, right?
Neurable, yeah. Adam, I'm. We work with Adam a lot. I should say, this year has been a little bit, kind of a little, but yeah, since they got their, Series A funding, right? So they really want to start selling, their devices more. They actually have more marketing people. Are you in their Discord channel?
Are they? It seems like they're trying to do they've already done hardware, so maybe they're confident with that, and now they're trying to do data, which might be a big deal because I haven't seen any other companies that would try to do that. There's lots of, hey, we'll do your data. There's things like Alex's company where we'll run experiments for you and manage that for you. But what
One drawback with
Alex, is there any other companies that you know of that are doing hardware and data analysis? Is Alex on?
I didn't see.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Okay, Alex. Yeah.
No, but I think it also like that makes I kind of see the point, right? To a certain extent, where I mean, if users accept, you know, to participate in some sort of studies or whatever direction they're trying to take things, you know, they definitely need people that can get insights out of the data, right? And so if they're able to channel the energy in the right direction, it's always helps, right? I think even like apps like Aura, for example, that have like, you know, sleep data for it's just like a little ring you wear, if you've heard of the Aura ring, things like that, right? Where it's at some point you're serving customers, not just people that want to wear a cool headset. And so you have to give them something more of an, hey, it works. Especially now that BCIs are gradually becoming more accessible, right? To a certain point now, you have to start distinguishing yourself, kind of. So it'll be interesting to see how or what experience they come up with for anything.
So
yeah, like the deal with the Galia is that the electrode positions I think are fixed right now. You know, they can change it around any way they want, really. But the Ultra Cortex, the 3D printed thing, was like you can move them around, but you can't really standardize anything from one customer to the next whenever you're doing full customizability. At some point, you have to build a form factor. Like, what's the biggest example right now? Headphones. But then if we've got 5 different headphone companies and they all want to do different electrode positions and they don't want to talk to each other about which one works, and somebody has this great postdoc person that like knows for a fact this is where you should put the electrodes because that's all we need. I don't know. That's another reason why OPCI did what they did way back when, to democratize it more and just to get the research done.
So one of the biggest drawbacks with Neurable is their SDK. Oh my gosh, it's I don't know if anybody has tried their SDK at all.
I may have looked at the documentation if it's public.
Yeah, no, it's not. So, I mean, we keep changing it, and when we first started to use their device, we faced a lot of challenges. You know, so their SDK had such a bad limitation, too much buggy, right? We couldn't capture all the events that we needed to from the anyways. So the point is, I actually am started to use Neurosity emulators. You know, slightly, you know, advanced, a different topic, a little bit different. So Neurosity emulators are absolutely fantastic. You know, I don't know if anybody actually has used them, but it does cost, you know, $50 a month or something like that. But you know, it's I think I told you all, right? I'm going to be getting their Crown you know, device pretty soon in month of May. So I can actually share with you once I get that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, their SDK set of tools is much more, you know, a tool to work with than Neurable.
Yeah.
Is this Crown a different device from the Notion itself?
It is, yeah. So they actually, I was one of the lucky 50 because I know Alex Castillo, you know, so that's the reason. So I'm one of those 50 early adopters for Crown. It literally looks, you know, just like a Crown. Anyways, you know, so that's their new branded kind of a product. So yeah, we're gonna be using that.
How do you see?
Not to ask you
like this?
Sorry?
Are they going with electrodes around the head like this?
Yeah, so I can actually share. Let me open and see if I can share
Well, I
the
was
screen.
saying earlier,
It's hard.
basically you have to like pick where they're gonna go, and doing full customization with electrode locations, it makes it harder for app developers to do their thing.
Oh, good point. Actually, in the picture that they shared, it doesn't actually show the complete specs or anything, right? It's just that they put some really nice lighting, and to say, hey, this is what you're gonna get. It's a crown. It's only for 50 people or early adopters. So,
So I only had
had
one question, which was, do they say how many electrodes?
I think four, no, well, 4 or 6. Let me
But
check.
that sounds more like the Muse sleep band than to me.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Let me see.
What is the name of the device? Chrome?
Crown, yeah, crown, like a crown, king crown.
Yeah, nothing public probably.
Yeah, it's not public, yeah.
Don't you have a
But
link?
I would say like
No, it hasn't been officially announced yet, so there's no material on the internet.
Okay.
But I would just say like isn't 4 like a bit limited though? Of the things you can get out of it if you wanted to use it personally. I guess that kind of goes back to the point of people don't really care about how many electrodes. I guess in terms of getting to the hands of somebody who just wants to use it just needs to work.
Improved is and it's one of the things that impresses me about the Muse is how they get the reference electrodes without the old-fashioned ear clips.
It's impressive from a form factor, but it's terrible from a data standpoint.
I want the Notion so bad.
Like with the headphones, all these headphone solutions, they have plenty of access to, like around the edges of the ears, depending on how they want to fit it. And a lot of these companies, I don't know, people are paying for ear research to find out how big the average ear is.
Yeah,
so they can get contact with those points.
I'm still waiting till people start specifically wearing earrings that are specifically designed to be grounds for EG headsets.
I would think you might need to take them off. I don't know.
I think that
Index doesn't have that problem. It sits these little things right outside the ears.
Yeah.
I only see it in photos, but
yeah, my headset's similar. But yeah, I also hope that more people get the Next Mind headset. Because that one, I already know someone who participated in Global Game Jam, and he would like, this is the easiest product I've ever developed on. In less than 2 days, he got the headset, and within 2 days made a game that used SSVP for a number of different triggers. Oh, that video's up now. I can actually link his presentation of his game.
Please do. Pyconaut, do you have an idea to start something like reviews and unboxing kind of reviews for devices? Is there any update on that?
So I have been because I don't want to be the only one, I've been working on creating a auto-populate email where pretty much you just select from a drop-down the device you want, what chapter you are from, and then you put in your own info, and it will create this email with all the information, and then you can just send that email to that company. And especially now that we have the I forget, do we have a device listing page yet? I mean, I know we have the company listing page and whatnot, but if we have a decent device listing page, that would be easy, so I could start adding those into this drop-down menu spreadsheet. If not, I have created a form to fill out for people to add devices to, so that I can use that. Pretty much I do something where I use a form to create a spreadsheet, then use that spreadsheet to auto-populate a form. It's it's annoying because it should be basic in any form creation software to be able to pull in data from a spreadsheet, but almost no software allows it. So I usually have to write my own code, which I hate.
And can we try it? Can we make a, I don't know, can we try to get a device from a company like an
so it seems like so that's why I've been going back through a couple of our previous meetings where we had device manufacturers come on and they gave us their direct email. So like I have almost, I think, all the info now for the that AR headset that's coming out, the Cognition 1. Yeah. So that email is pretty much done. I'll want to have Morgan and probably Brian or a couple other people from like higher up in the NeurotechX food chain look it over, since it would be in essence being sent on behalf of NeurotechX. I want that. That's also why I haven't just started sending these emails out, is because I want something that looks professional and is something that is approved by the general community. Because if we as individuals try to speak on behalf of NeurotechX, that's when it can get harder. Yeah. Okay. But let me find that Next Mind video.
Sure.
So this Next Mind is similar to Neurosity. Is it what your
it's
the Next Mind is like a VR thing. Oh no, it's not. I saw they had like one with a DJ.
It's both.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's just 8 channels over occipital pole, so it's you're capturing visual areas.
Right? Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Somebody somewhere, whenever they make these devices, they're like, let's target a specific paradigm, and that's kind of what William in our forums usually ends up telling people, because there's some people that are like, yo, let me just throw all the EEG data at a neural network, and I'm going to get 80% accuracy, and not really going to work out that way, from what I've heard.
What do you all think? Like, is the BCI devices heading towards non-1020 approaches? I mean, looks like NextMind is like a non-1020 at all, right? So it's only.
I think for especially for like consumer systems. There's a good reason for it, right? So NextMind, or let's say somebody does the same thing with just like capturing kind of like the ear or auditory. And, to some degree you could say that, Neurosity's, depending on where it's placed. So when it's on my head, I feel like I'm getting the, motor strip well covered. But I think those are perfect for like 8 channels, put them in the right spot, and
it's pretty interesting with their devices. why did they pick those electrodes?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
might have been looking for a certain paradigm. I would hope. Seems to be the best way to do it for now.
Is there a chance to add the device to the hardware hub? The Neurosity system?
So we definitely are interested in adding everybody to Hardware Hub. We'd prefer it if we could, give members a bit of a discount. And even better if we could give them a bit of a discount and also keep some of that to fund great programs at NeurotechX, the nonprofit, and focused on like community building or diversity or some of the other things that we'd love to get more support for.
How do you know if you're a NeurotechX member? Do we get cards?
Nope. you have a login. So
wait, where is this at? I don't think I've ever done this.
You might not. So
is this for services or something?
So it's basically if you go to neurotechx.com and can you log in? And to some degree, so some people join Slack via it's not what do we I'm trying to think of the service. Anyway, either Google Form or Heroku. Yeah, thank you. That's what I was trying to get. And so ideally you get that you should get that all from one interface. Is basically you should be able be signed up on Slack and you'd get your password. But this is why I kind of ran through how to get on the hardware, how to see the Hardware Hub and how to find your passwords on your profile page. So I don't know if I've got those links.
So it shows up once you make an account.
So if you check the meetup agenda, so
I'm just asking in case somebody ever asked me, or I can tell somebody else about it.
So see if they've got a login for neurotechx.com, then they have a profile page. And if you scroll down on your profile page, you get the password to the Hardware Hub. And then, and you can find the links on the meetup agenda.
So it's a thing now, and people can rent hardware?
No, this is to purchase hardware, but with a discount.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So especially if you're interested in purchasing, I think Emotive and Neurosity and
Muse, OpenBCI.
I was just checking, and I forgot we streamed to Twitch and not YouTube the second time around, so I need to upload a new copy of the Global Game Jam stuff to YouTube. Then I'll be able to link the Next Mind demo.
So let me just before it goes to 8:20. I mean 8:40. Anybody catch Neurotech LA's special event on Tuesday? The interview with Cindy Wu formerly of Experiment.com.
No.
So that was nice. Oh yeah, okay, Jenny, good. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting, or certainly so she's now moved on from Experiment.com, even though a lot of the questions were about that. Yeah, I thought it was interesting her telling stories about the early days of experiment.com and how she's out cold calling scientists for project ideas. Yeah, so I that's the one thing, Jenny, that I didn't quite fully understand. I mean, I get that Jelly. So Jelly is her new company or new project, and it looked a little bit like it looked a little bit like Gather Town with a collaborative reader. I don't want to say writer, but like annotator. So I thought of the if anybody's familiar with Fermat's library project. So Fermat's library is like a paper club, but they also produce a tool called Margins for like annotating and sharing annotations of PDFs. And that seemed like Jelly was this combination of like you can all be looking at the same PDF and you can be adding annotations and things like that, but you're also kind of like in a virtual room with everybody. I don't know if I'm doing this any justice though, Jenny, because like she really wasn't giving us a full. That wasn't kind of supposed to be the focus, but anyway. So let me just looking through. So there was. Yeah. Okay. So there was some other great topics though this week. In the gamma-inducing brain stimulation in Alzheimer's disease and related dementias that Neuroelectrics hosted, and I just dropped a link. So this is another Alzheimer's related neurostimulation showing focused ultrasound effects for Alzheimer's as well. And yeah, Chris's. So, and then EGI or MagStim EGI did a webinar on autism biomarkers and research using TMS and high density EEG. And I did not catch because it was like, I think like 2 a.m. our time in San Francisco, but great. Anybody managed to catch this neuroscience and University Helsinki? It's like Aalto. Anyway, great set of researchers presenting that. Anyway, I just wanted to give everybody an overview of all the events of the week. And then Jenny, can I turn it over to you? So looking ahead to, next week, this weekend, it's the Neosensory Developers Show and Tell, right? Oh, and Jenny just left. Okay. So let me.
Neosensory is the David Eagleman company? Or...
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, here's the so here's the link. It's where Jenny was just on. And oh, maybe she's back. Hey, Jenny. I was just talking about the Neosensory Developers Chat this Saturday. Well, not to put anybody on the spot. And well, then the only other thing I had for next week was kind of more focused on an MRI, but check it out in the links. Anything coming up next week that others want to mention? Is that John?
So, Marvin, just a quick question.
Yeah.
So, I'm. Oh, sorry, my camera was on. So, of course, we deal with a lot of EEG data, and we are so used to CSVs as the final data set, right? But I'm actually facing a lot of challenges with EDF. Okay, so EDF format in particular. Of course, initially when I started using that, I thought, okay, my gosh, why make it so hard, right? But lately, I'm kind of inundated with EDF. The point is, do you have any Slack channel that you recommend that I can get some help on the EDF processing? And this I'm talking about lots of sleep data, right? So, and it's all in EDF, and I'm literally talking about almost 600 gigabytes of data. So just
Wow.
wanted to get.
I don't know of. I mean, it's good question. I don't know of like a super active Slack that focuses on that.
Yeah.
I mean, is the I mean, isn't PyEDF? No, PyEDF lib, right?
Yeah. I'm actually kind of using it, but so what do we need to do is I need to run the YORT model, right? I don't know if you know the YORT algorithm. YORT, the Scandinavian, it starts with an H. HJORTH. And let me actually add that in the
Hjorth transform. It's like
yes.
yeah, it's a basic it's like a simplistic Laplacian, isn't it?
Exactly, yes. Yeah, that's true. And then for looking at the chaotic dimensions in sleep, I'm actually using Lyapunov. I don't know if have you heard of a Lyapunov model? So let me actually add that one too.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm not sure. Let me see it.
Right.
Well, Lyapunov, but is this algorithmic or because I mean, yeah. Okay, so I mean, this could be used in a couple of different ways. Are you are you trying to do source imaging?
No. Actually, this starts out with seizures during sleep, right? So yeah. So basically, I'm looking for. Of course, I need to do the typical segmentation. All those things, right? So this involves a lot of processing, and identifying seizures is one, right?
Yeah.
And also
so
sorry
I mean,
about that. Yeah.
No. The best thing for seizures, or certainly, I'd love if anybody wants to chime in on this. The great thing that came out of the Neureka challenge is at least a couple pipelines to look at for seizure detection. And if did you say these were kids?
Sorry, you're breaking up.
Oh, sorry. Is there anything special about the number of panels or
number of
the hardware?
No, actually, that's the challenge here, right? I literally have just 3 channels from EEG, right? The rest of them are all, whether it's actually blue light,
So check out Eureka Challenge, right? Because the second place winner was actually there was part of the competition was obviously, do the best at identifying seizures, right?
right.
There were extra marks given for a more efficient use of hardware.
Sorry,
In other
could
words,
you repeat that? Eureka challenge, you said?
yeah. So let me just see. Yeah, here we go. And there should be GitHub links to. So this is training with the Temple University data,
Gotcha.
and then if you go down, and I forget which one won. I think was it Sydney?
They were from Belgium, the first
Well, there was
place.
one from Australia, one from Belgium.
Yeah.
And okay, so yeah. The Belgians won, but Sydney, I think, is the one that produced a second place result, but they only used 3 channels, whereas the Belgians used 16. So if you scroll down, you'll find links to the to each team's GitHub, and so you can see how basically how they at least trained with the TUH data, and see what the Australians did different for the 3 channels that they use. I'm not sure where I didn't actually follow up enough to see like where they used them, and where on the heads, and
makes sense.
I'm kind of curious. I mean, like, are they together or are they far apart? I'm not sure. Anyway, that might help.
No, it does. No,
and then for sure. And if you can't find this link, follow up, and because like I know somebody followed up on Slack about this, but IBM Australia also has a pipeline that trained on the TUH data.
Oh,
and, the only thing is that might have been lost down my Slack memory hole. In that.
No, actually, that helps. Do we have any? Sorry, go ahead.
No.
No, actually, do you think we can actually have a session on different algorithms on EEG? I'm just trying to.
Super interested. I mean, so it's just that like you can apply everything.
Yes.
Right? So it's really like, how do you break down signal processing the field into a small number of I mean, I think of like that, that kind of scikit-learn picture that they have of like all the different techniques in this graph grouping. Like that's you could cover everything, right? So it would be what I've certainly been interested in recently is like, maybe if we picked a kind of hot topic,
Right.
And so the most recent one was this paper that and I'm selfishly interested because this is my first poster. This is my first conference poster topic. Well, it was just the topic, but then I saw this review paper from 2015, tensor decomposition of EEG signals, right? And this is it's also kind of cool because related to deep learning, there's actually some cool things that you can do with this, especially if you've got hardware that is particularly set up to process things very quickly with this. Anyway, it's like, is there a kind of sub area of signal processing that would be of interest?
Yeah, actually, that's actually a good question. I mean, my work kind of I can continue while Morgan is out. So
he had to run.
yeah.
What is your work focused on?
Yeah, I'm actually my work is, of course, I'm a senior lead scientist at a consulting company, but we work on a lot of human performance, human dimension measurements, and we deal with a lot of health data with addiction, right? So it actually, I started, and I think I was mentioning this when I first joined. I started working on this RNS neuropase device. It's one of the world's first, seizure treatment device, FDA approved device, actually. It's interesting. I mean, I used to work on this. I never worked for that company, right? Full disclosure, we process the data as part of the University of Pittsburgh collaboration, right? So yeah, since then, it's all about human performance, human seizure, so measuring, correlating heart rate monitors with the EEG data, right? So we do a lot of that kind of work. So yeah, I mean, basically explaining time series to kind of a newbies. Oh my gosh! So what I started doing was I started involving my daughter into some of the discussion so that I can help her understand her. Anyways, but yeah, the more there are so many algorithms that are actually out there. If we can have more like a kind of a discussion, like an open discussion, we might all learn something, right? So that's the reason.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know if it would be, I'm just trying to think of a paper that kind of breaks down into subtopics. Like whether there's a good, if we looked at like a EEG lab paper or field trip paper, so like a kind of tool paper like that might already kind of break down the subtopics.
M&E paper.
The M&E, I mean, these are all pretty old papers. You think?
Yeah, well, the M&E paper it's less than 5 years, right? Maybe it was 5 years.
Yeah, no,
I didn't know that.
it's just, as you said, it's just so big. There's just so much to cover. Like you'd have to break it down more.
Yeah.
And also the work involves many, generally speaking, right? I'm actually kind of an experimenter, so I worked on FreeSurfer. I don't know if anybody knows FreeSurfer.
Yes.
It's one of the
Love-hate relationship with FreeSurfer.
Sorry, what?
Love-hate relationship with FreeSurfer.
Yeah.
Like most people, I think.
Yes.
A necessary evil.
Necessary evil. Oh my gosh, you put it so well.
And even though in my own papers I've mostly used it for morphometrics, it's like I always point out to people that FreeSurfer started as an MEG source analysis tool.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like that was its kind of original purpose, was basically adding the. I mean, it probably had a lot of goals, but at the time, he was just trying to add the cortical surface, orientation constraint.
Oh my gosh!
So, so you could turn the source imaging into a linear problem, yes. Or like that was a good part of it, and like using the cortical surface, seeding the cortical surface.
So I had to get trained on FreeSurfer. In a matter of months, and I couldn't find any trainer at all. So it's, but I had to fly to Boston to actually get trained by somebody. So from there.
Yeah. Well, if you've got FreeSurfer, yeah, I don't know. I guess you're not using it anymore.
Oh no, I am actually. I'm still using it.
Okay. Well, happy to talk FreeSurfer anytime.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. And I always point out to people like, because a lot of people just use the pipeline, right? But it ships with like 200 binaries, right? Like they've written us like a one-off tool for so many tasks that always check if there's actually some tool that Bruce or Doug already wrote for that, because they usually have.
Yeah, but that's the thing that's so annoying about FreeSurfer, is got all these binary like one-off programs with a million arguments.
Yeah.
And the documentation is just doesn't make sense, and yet you have no idea what's going on. You have no idea if you're using it right. And unless it's some kind of like barycentric surface sampling algorithm, then you really just want to be doing it in some more transparent code base.
So that's actually a good point, John. So maybe you can confirm to me. So the Atlas is the default reference plane there? I mean, is that actually what it is?
No, well, so when you say the default frame, I mean, are you talking about surface space, or are you talking about volumetric space? Because I mean,
surface.
You mean the Atlas? The Atlas is the parcellation, right? The DK parcellation and the.
Yeah. So the parcellations get brought.
It's not the space.
Yeah, they get brought to each surface.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Until when you're doing your group analysis, you can either use FS average, or you can use a user-defined template. So if we're looking at schizophrenia versus controls, we make our own template that's using 50-50, for instance, as opposed to but yeah, like each of those maps, or each of those parcellations is brought to each single subject space.
Right? Oh, gotcha. Okay, I see.
With a matching that's somewhat driven, it's mostly driven by local curvature, and the gyral sulcal, I mean, it's driven from curvature.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it kind of maps the landmarks onto a sphere.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
I just a quick thing. I dropped a link for this NeuroDAC. I wanted to pointed out, at least I'd put it in devices on Slack. Not enough time to talk about it, but I thought it was interesting for the people that are involved and the well, I wasn't quite sure how Medtronic is necessarily involved, but it seemed like it had good support. And yeah, as well as dropped a link for the M&E paper. So
can I share the post in our forum?
Which one?
Somebody's giving away hardware.
Oh yeah. And please. So other than that, I've got to run. But I want to thank our videographers, Ryan and Alex, who are going to have just a little extra work this week, if you don't mind. And let's, yeah, and we'll do this again next week. So check out the agenda, and if you can, check out the Neosensory on Saturday.
Great.
Sound
Great.
good?
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See you guys.
Yeah. Thank you.